My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Insidious The Red Door. And if you know me, you know I love Insidious. It is one of my favorite horror franchises ever. Like, the first movie is in my top 10 movies of all time. I think the second movie is one of the most underrated movies of all time. I think Chapter 3 is also great. And the fourth one, I still like. It's not as good as the other three, but it's still perfectly fine. So I was very excited for this movie, especially since it's following up on Insidious Chapter 2. And I'm very happy with what we got. I definitely liked it. I don't think it's great. I do have some issues with it. But the good definitely outweigh the bad. And let's begin talking about the story. And that is the primary focus here. Like, there's a good chunk of this movie where there's no scales at all, and it does take its time. And I can imagine that'll piss some people off, but I'm already invested in these characters, and I thought the continuation here was true to everything set up. This movie explores generational trauma and grief and all of that kind of stuff, and it's stuff that we're all tired of hearing about. It is done to death by this point. But I feel like this movie has a very fresh take on it. It never feels preachy, and it's so well ingrained into the story and characters. Like, you've got this father and son who went through a traumatizing event, and they got their memories erased about it at the end of the second movie, and we see how that affects their relationship with each other and the other people in their life in ways they didn't even fully realize. And I just thought, as a character and story movie, it was very satisfying. I liked all the different directions this movie took. And it's so well ingrained with all the spooky stuff going on that we come to this movie for. So, because as they start to remember their past starts to literally haunt them, and that was very well done for me. So I like the story, I like the character work here, and I think this movie has somatic depths. It's directed by Patrick Wilson, his very first time directing a movie, and I think he does a very good job. Now, there's some moments he does better than others. Like, there's some scales in this movie where I feel like the jump scare came too far out of left field, or well, he didn't follow up on the jump scare as well as he could have. But it is his first time, and I think he definitely excels, and he shows promise for even better in future movies. So yeah, there is some really great moments. That scene in the trailer where he's flipping through the stuff in the window was much better in the actual movie. I thought the MRI sequence was really good. And there are just a few small directing choices he makes that I thought were just perfection. There was just like a 2-second scene of a candle being blown out, and it was just so well done. The painting and how that kind of paints the escalation of everything going on, and just how whenever you look at this painting, like, it's just so absorbing to look at, and I thought that was really done. It added to the atmosphere. There was one scene where we see some of the events in the past movies, but done in a very unique way, and I loved the decisions made there. And I do think this movie is well shot. It's got the atmosphere you want from an Insidious movie. I thought the music by Joseph Bashira is once again incredible. Like, the music in these movies is so off-putting and so disorientating, and it just adds so much. Whenever it's present, it always elevates it. And I thought the sound in this movie was really good as well. So Patrick Wilson, for the most part, is really good. It's not as scary as the first three movies. Those movies are on a whole other level. but I think he still does a good job here, and the cast also does a very good job. Ty Simpkins carries this movie very well. I think he brings this character to life in a believable manner, but I actually think the star of this movie is Sinclair Daniel. When she enters this movie, I thought she was going to be the annoying, over the top character, but because of how quiet Dalton is, she is the perfect counterbalance, and she gives this movie life and energy when it's very much needed. I thought Patrick Wilson also does a very good job. There was one scene early on, I thought he really stood out. In Rose Byrne, I love her as an actress. I would have liked more from her here. Not that she's bad, but she's barely in the movie. So she's decent in the time we see her. So look, you got yourself a good story, good characters, some nice thematic depths. It's well made. The cast does a good job. So what stops this movie from being great? There was a point in this movie where everything is ramping up to perfection. Like, I was so engaged, I felt sick to my stomach, I was on the edge of my seat. Like, it was just I was just like, if they nail this ending, this movie is going to be in my top 3 of the year, definitely. And then the movie kind of just ends, and I'm just like, wait, that's like the big climax? It's like somebody was blowing up this balloon. It was this big, glorious balloon, and everybody was excited to see it. And then some prick walks by with a needle and just pops it, and it's done, it's over, just instantly deflates. I'm like, I don't know if it's Patrick Wilson, I don't know if it's a script issue, I don't know if it's the studio, but it feels like there's a missing 20 minutes of the last act, and I do not know where it went. Like, when things were getting really good, it's just, you killed some of that momentum, and it really frustrated me. And I would have liked some of the character resolution to be a bit more satisfying. Also, there's, some of this movie takes place at a school, and I would have liked to see more of the school. There's a point where a bunch of spooky stuff is happening in the dorm room, and I'm just like, okay, leave the dorm room. Use the environment of the school to your advantage here, and it just felt like a bit of wasted potential to not expand on that environment. I also don't like the way this movie begins. I believe that horror movies should always begin with a nice scale. And look, it's in the trailer, it's not a spoiler, so if you want to know nothing, there's your warning, but it's literally in the first 30 seconds of this movie, but Josh's mom dies, Lorraine. And I would have just preferred it if she got killed by a demon and we saw her death, and that was the first scene, and then that way we could still get the loud, Insidious intro card, because I really missed that here. The title card still appears, but it doesn't have the same. I really missed that a lot. And then some other complaints I have with this movie is that some of the rules are unclear, and do not get me wrong, the father has no sense of space or time, so really anything can happen. But there was a few moments where I'm just like, what is happening here? There's one scene specifically where Dalton is in this frat house, and things go wrong, and I'm just like, wait, how is everything good now? Like, wait, what just happened? But he was ill. Wait, what? And I was actually confused. It was done very poorly. There was a few times where I'm just like, okay, how did the characters get back to their bodies? Because that is a key element of the story on display. There's also one scene involving paint, where I'm like, I don't buy this for a second. This is too much of a stretch. And there is one scene with the demon, and I'm like, why did you do that? Yeah, and by the way, speaking of the demon, like, the demon looks much scarier in this movie than I think he did in the first Insidious. He's just not in it as much as I would have liked. So, yes, as someone who loves this franchise, I'm still very happy with this movie. I think it handles the characters in a very thoughtful manner. I thought the exploration of its themes were really effective in how they were done. I thought the acting was very good. I think this movie's got lots of those fun, insidious scales you've come to expect from this franchise. It's not afraid to be goofy, and that's what I love about it. It's got some great music, it's got some great cinematography, some nice atmosphere, and I just really love the world building on display. The last act does unfortunately hurt this movie, especially because it's the closing note this movie ends on. Like, it could have been incredible. It could have been like an 8.5 if they just nailed that ending. Like, I would have liked it if this movie was 2 hours and 15 minutes, to be honest, because it's almost 2 hours. I wanted 20 more minutes. And then there's also a few other issues, but look, I'm still very happy with it. I'm kind of torn between more ratings, so on 2 ratings. So just to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and give Insidious The Red Door a 6.5 out of 10. This rating could go up to a 7, but for now I'll play it safe. But the fact I like 5 movies, like every single movie in this franchise, that's a rarity. Like, it is definitely one of the best horror franchises. So, yeah. But, did you see Insidious The Red Door? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.